Hi guys, Michael DeCarlo here for DeCarlosDanger.com. Good night, grandkids, and actually good night, daughters too. I know I say grandkids, but this is for all my chitlins. I love you all. Miss you. We're continuing on with Principle 24. Principle 24, I'll remind you, is a free people will not survive unless they stay strong. Talked about Benjamin Franklin earlier in his vision. Now we're going to talk about George Washington and then sum it up at the end. All right. Thoughts of George Washington. George Washington is often described as first in peace, first in war, first in the hearts of his countrymen. No American occupied more substantive position, either then or now, to proclaim that he considered to be a necessary posture for preservation of the nation. He had literally risked his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor. There was more than him. For the cause of freedom, and performed that task under circumstances which would have smothered the endurance of men with lesser stamina and courage. He fought the Revolutionary War with no navy of any significance, no trained professional army of either size or stability, and no outpouring of genuine support from the very states he was striving to save. He could have retired in bitterness after Valley Forge and Morristown, but that was not his character. He did not relish the anguish of it all, but he endured it. To George Washington, it was all part of structuring a new nation. Washington's position on national defense was in terms of a grim realities experienced in the field of battle. No man wanted peace more than he, and no man was willing to risk more in life and property to achieve it. In nearly the same words as Franklin, he declared, "To be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace." So, effectual means of preserving peace. And Fitzpatrick wrote in the writings of George Washington. Washington also saw the fallacy of waiting until an attack occurred before marshaling available forces. He wrote, "A free people ought not only be armed, but disciplined, to which end a uniform and well-digested plan is requisite." Washington also saw the fallacy of a policy of interdependence with other nations, which made the United States vulnerable in time of war. In his first annual address to Congress, he spoke of the people's general welfare, then stated, "And their safety and interest require that they should promote such manufactories as tend to render them independent of others for essentials, particularly military supplies." Washington felt that neither politics nor world circumstances should lure the American people into a posture of complacency. He felt that vigilance was indeed the price of freedom, and unless it was promoted with firmness and consistency, the future of the United States would be in jeopardy. In another speech, he said, "The safety of the United States, under divine protection, ought to rest on the basis of systematic and solid arrangements, exposed as little as possible to the hazards of fortuitous circumstances." Washington's fifth annual address to Congress. As president, Washington perceived the tendency of Congress to avoid its responsibility to provide adequate defenses. Because the president was personally responsible for the nation's foreign policy relations, he was well aware that the newborn United States had a long way to go to ensure decent respect and deference from the arrogant European powers. In his fifth annual address to Congress, he said, "I cannot recommend to your notice measures for the fulfillment of our duties to the rest of the world without again pressing upon you the necessity of placing ourselves in a condition of complete defense and of exacting from them the fulfillment of their duties toward us. Washington could already see the predatory monarchs of Europe planning to slice up the United States and divide it amongst them unless the people alerted themselves to the exigencies of the day. The British still had their troops stationed along the northern border of the United States. The Spanish had their definite aspirations to make a thrust into the Mississippi heartland. From Washington's point of view, all was not well in America's Happy Valley. Therefore, he told the Congress, there is a rank due to the United States among the nations, which will be withheld, if not absolutely lost, by the reputation of weakness. If we desire to avoid insult, we must be able to repel it. If we desire to secure peace, one of the most powerful instruments of our rising prosperity, it must be known that we are all at times ready for war. Duty to the Creator to preserve freedom and unalienable rights. Samuel Adams emphasized moral responsibility of Americans to provide the heritage of freedom and unalienable rights to which the Creator had endowed them. That means that your rights don't come from government. They come from your Creator, your God, who you call God as your own business. But they come from the Creator. They do not come from government. If your rights come from government, that is how they control you. Your rights come from your Creator. There is no one control. It's you and your Creator. You're morally guided by that. That's what they're trying to say. Once these blessings have been vouchsafed to a human being, Sam Adams felt it was a wicked and unnatural thing to allow these great fruits of liberty to languish by neglect or apathy. When individuals combine into a society, they bring all of their natural rights with them. Under no circumstances must these be allowed to dwindle away, said he. It was a great absurdity to suppose it would be in the power of one or any number of men that the entering into society to renounce their essential natural rights or the means of preserving those rights, when the grand end of civil government, from the very nature of its institution, is for the support, protection, and the defense of those very rights, the principle of which are life, liberty, and property. If men fear, fraud, or mistake, should in terms renounce or give up their essential natural right, the eternal law of reason and the grand end of society would absolutely vacate such renunciation. What he's saying there is that if you make a mistake or somebody cheats you or if you're scared all the time, you'll give up your rights to the government so they can take care of you. But when you do that, society should condone you. It should stop you. It should say, wait a minute. Why are you scared? What are you afraid for? Hey, what can we do to fix that? Because when you get government involved, it doesn't end well. And it isn't when you get government involved, it's that you're giving up your liberty, your choices. By you doing this, you're telling everybody how they must live. So you're minimizing everybody's ability to do things. The right to freedom being the gift of God Almighty. It is not the power of man to alienate this gift and voluntarily become a slave. Quoted in Wells' Life of Samuel Adams. The American inheritance. Thus the fathers passed on to their posterity a policy of peace through strength. They were peace-loving but not pacifists. They called for a rugged kind of strength bolted to a broad base. They saw the foundation for their security in the bustling, prosperous economy with a high standard of public morality and they saw the necessity for a level of preparedness which discouraged attack from potential enemies by creating a rate of risk so high that the waging of war against this nation would be an obviously unprofitable undertaking. As Samuel Adams wrote to a sympathetic friend in England, it is the business of America to take care of herself, her situation, and you justly observe depends on her virtue. As you justly observe depends on her virtue. So, we've had this peace through strength type of governance and military since the idea of it since the founding of our country. And why is that? Because could it be? Could it be that it was seen before? Could it be that it isn't just a miracle that they were like, hey, we've seen this before, so let's prepare for it? Or is it that governments fighting are nothing more than men fighting over the last hamburger? I don't know. But the moral of the story, kids, is that you're worried about your future, but your future is going to be, you're going to see it in your past. It's almost like it's a play that you're in, really. That things will repeat. I mean, you'll have terrible things in your lifetime, and it's almost like you're being conditioned to move and sway as you're directed by whatever the television says. But I love you. I wish you good night, kids, grandkids. I love you all. Be well. We're going to start the book from the beginning here with chapter 1 from here on out. I really thought that education and strength were important points that maybe could cause some interest or whatever. We'll start at chapter 1 and they'll be in the next one, next video I make. And again, suggest away. Much love. Peace, everybody. I love you. Deuces.